Good afternoon, friends. This video on one of the divergent and conflicting judgment coming from Appellate Advanced Ruling Authority of Gujarat in the case of Sterlite Industries Limited. An issue watch. Let's say I'm a registered person in Gujarat. I got an order from a customer from USA. So I could have supplied the goods either option 1 from India to US. That would be export of goods. Second, instead of supplying goods directly from India to US, what I did, I have identified supplier in South Korea and asked this supplier to supply goods directly to my customer at USA. So, supplier at South Korea supplying the goods to my customer at USA. So, it's a bill to Bimal Jain in India and shipped to US, my customer at USA. So, there are two transactions involved. In the books of account of registered person Bimal Jain, the first transaction is the purchase transaction from South Korea. So let's say South Korea supplier raising invoice for $100 to Bimal Jain, that is coming on debit side of my PL account being expense, and subsequently I'm raising invoice to my customer for $120 with the value addition profit markup of $120. So that is coming on credit side of my PL account as a revenue item. Now we have to identify the taxability, GST applicability on both transactions. The first transaction, which is a purchase transaction in my books of accounts of $100 coming on debit side of PL account with a GST leviable custom duty on import of goods including IGST levy. Answer is no custom duty including IGST is leviable because goods have not entered into custom frontier of India. Hence, no custom duty including IGST going to be levied. So this was the ruling given by Advanced Ruling Authority, which is now being upheld by Appellate Advanced Ruling Authority. To this extent, this transaction is very clear. Now coming to the second transaction. When Bimal Jain from India has raised the invoice of $120 to US customer at USA. Question is whether that is chargeable to GST. So first maybe the issue which would be coming to your mind, whether it is export of goods. My answer is it is not export of goods for the simple reason goods are not being taken from India to a place outside India. I have only invoiced for $120 for supply of goods from a place in non-taxable territory to a place in non-taxable territory. So this is not the export of goods. But second, which is very, very important, $120 coming on credit side of my PL account with a chargeable to GST. It is revenue item on my credit side of PL account. To discuss and determine, Advanced Ruling Authority, now upheld by Appellate Advanced Ruling Authority of Gujarat, what is being stated? They have said, as per section 7 subsection 5 clause A of IGST Act, GST leviable because when supply of goods or services is happening and supplier is located in India and place of supply is outside India, it is called interstate supply. And IGST leviable, that is what being held by Advanced Ruling Authority. Only modification done by Appellate Advanced Ruling Authority is And this is in the context of both the things I will tell you. Listen very carefully. That Appellate Advanced Ruling Authority is saying for the period 1st July 2017 to 31st January 2019, IGST is leviable. But from 1st February 2019, no IGST leviable. Why this modification? For the simple reason, para 7, entry 7 got inserted in schedule 3. In schedule 3, and schedule 3 is no supply, neither a supply of goods nor supply of services. This para 7 and para 8 both got inserted in schedule 3 by GST Amendment Act 2018, and which got notified by notification number 2/2019 Central Tax dated 29th of January 2019, effective from 1st of February 2019. Keeping this change in mind, now Appellate Advanced Ruling Authority is saying that only post 1st February 2019, no IGST going to be levied. But prior to that, from July 1, 2017 to 31st January 2019, IGST is leviable. Now, this is what the conflicting and divergent. If I look at the law position today, whether this transaction is really chargeable to tax, GST leviable, to my mind, and these are the defense points which I am putting forth for your kind submission. Kya IGST lagega? That is what we have to determine first. Section 7 subsection 5 clause A only determining that supply of goods or services when supplier is located in India and place of supply is outside India, it is called interstate supply. That is what the determination. But that is chargeable to IGST or not? That is the moot question. So if I go to IGST Act and read section 1, subsection 2 of IGST Act, they say IGST Act is applicable to whole of India. And India is being defined under section 2 subsection 56 of CGST Act, read with section 2 subsection 24 of IGST Act. So first submission that you can levy transaction, GST, you can levy GST on any transaction when it is happening within whole of India, in the taxable territory. If some transaction, supply of goods from a place in non-taxable territory, which is Korea, to a place in non-taxable territory, which is USA, can you levy the transaction? Whether it is chargeable to IGST, to my mind, it is happening outside India. In my humble submission, it is beyond the provision of IGST Act. Section 7 subsection 5 clause A only determining whether such transaction can be interstate, and section 8 talks about intrastate of IGST Act. First argument. Second argument. Now this change which is being drawn under para 7, which is merchant trading happening from a place in non-taxable territory to a place in non-taxable territory, and para 8, which is high sea sale and supply of goods which is warehoused under bond, and it is not chargeable to GST unless it is being cleared for the home consumption. So entry 7 and entry 8 got inserted in schedule 3, effective from 1st of February 2019, no denial, but can we levy tax? That's the point we all are discussing. If I go to chargeable section under IGST Act, first argument I gave that IGST Act leviable only for a transaction which is happening within India territory, in taxable territory. Outside the taxable territory, it is not chargeable to tax. Second, chargeable section, section 5 of IGST Act. What it says, subject to subsection 2 of section 5, IGST going to be levied on interstate supply of goods or services. Interstate supply of goods or services, but that has to be within India. That is what the IGST Act going to be leviable. And that the proviso that IGST can be levied on import of goods in India as per section 3 of Custom Tariff Act, read with section 12 of Custom Act 1962. So to my mind, chargeable section is talking about IGST leviable provided it is a transaction which is giving power under the Act to levy IGST. So it is happening outside India. To my mind, IGST not leviable. Now this transaction has drawn the reference in the mind of GST Council as well. They have issued one circular number 3, dated May 25, 2018. And in that circular, they have categorically said that high seas sell transaction or bond sale transaction are no supply, no GST leviable. Even in 28th GST Council meeting, which was held on June 28, 2018, they have said these 3 transactions are no supply. Merchant trading, which is happening from a place in non-taxable territory, Korea to US, high sea sale and in-bond sale before clearance for the home consumption. They have said it is no supply. That is what the recommendation of 28th GST Council meeting. Now this provision got amended in the context of recommendation given by GST Council. Only reference drawn by appellate advance ruling authority that this amendment is being notified only from 1st of February 2019. Hence, prior to that, IGST leviable is totally incorrect in my humble submission. Now, can we draw the reference recommendation of GST Council for determining taxability? To my mind, yes. Odisha High Court judgment. In the case of Prasanna Kumar Bisoi case, and wherein issue was interest to be levied on gross tax versus net tax, and that too with retrospective date July 1, 2017. 39 GST Council meeting held on March 14, 2020. They have said interest going to be levied only on net tax liability, and that too retrospectively from July 1, 2017. That recommendation was taken into consideration, and Honorable Odisha High Court has said it is carrying persuasive value. Though the changes are not being made in the law during the time this writ petition was filed, but they have said if interest is going to be levied, it is going to be levied only on net tax liability. यानी उड़ीसा हाई कोर्ट ने इस बात को माना कि अगर जीएसटी काउंसिल ने कोई रिकमेंडेशन दिया है और जीएसटी काउंसिल ने कहा कि ये रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव डेट से होगा, इवन लॉ में अमेंडमेंट नहीं हुआ, पर उसकी परसुएसिव वैल्यू है, ऐसा उड़ीसा हाई कोर्ट ने माना. मैं आपको 2 और एडवांस रूलिंग फ्रॉम केरला एंड फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र, and both advanced ruling has said no IGST leviable on this supply of goods which is happening from Korea to US. I have taken an example, but they have said no IGST on supply of goods from a place in non-taxable territory, Korea, to a place in non-taxable territory, which is US. No IGST leviable. Kerala advanced ruling in the case of Synthete Industries Limited, Maharashtra advanced ruling BSF India Limited in our favor. They are saying no IGST leviable. Why then Gujarat advanced ruling authority, and which is now being upheld with certain modification, by appellate advanced ruling authority is giving this judgment, this is only creating conflict and divergent. And we have seen lot many issues in GST where we are getting divergent ruling by different state advanced ruling authority. Is it really providing clarity to all of us? To my mind, no. Coming to the important aspect, para 14.2 of the judgment, very important, kindly read. Para 14.2 of the judgment is saying, advanced ruling authority is the creature of statute. Of course, it is being created by way of statute. And it is further going and saying that it is not within their power. I'm repeating the same. It is not within their power to check the wires of the law, whether law is valid or not. Then question will come, what for a taxpayer will go to advanced ruling authority if they can't determine the wires of the law and thereby corresponding chargeability and taxability? मुझे तो समझ में नहीं आता. अगर एडवांस रूलिंग अथॉरिटी को यह बनाया गया कि आप डिटरमाइन कीजिए टैक्सेबिलिटी एंड क्लासिफिकेशन और आप कहेंगे कि मेरे पावर में ही नहीं है और आप स्पेसिफिकली रूलिंग में भी इस बात को डालेंगे, तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि वी आर गेटिंग एनी क्लैरिटी आउट ऑफ इट. सो कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग जजमेंट फ्रॉम वन स्टेट एडवांस रूलिंग अथॉरिटी टू अनदर स्टेट एडवांस रूलिंग अथॉरिटी. Why? Next, if I go back to that particular change which we are referring to, this amendment was definitely being done by GST Amendment Act 2018, no denial. Notified on 1st of February 2019, no denial. But now we have to understand, was it clarificatory? So that it can be applied with retrospective date July 1, 2017. To my mind, as per my humble submission, as I said, this transaction is happening outside India in non-taxable territory. IGST cannot be levied because IGST is applicable only for a transaction within India. Chargeable section is only determining IGST on interstate supply. And what is interstate supply? That is as per section 7, subsection 5. But there has to be jurisdiction. You can levy the tax. You can apply the GST. When transaction happening outside India, how you can levy GST first? Was it not clarificatory in nature? To my mind, it is clarificatory. For the reason, you have issued a circular number 3, clarified the transaction. 28 GST Council meeting has acknowledged the transaction as and recommended. It is no supply. And they have said specifically, merchant trading outside India, high seas sale, and the inbound sale. These 3 transactions which got inserted by entry 7 and entry 8 in schedule 3 is no supply. It is clarificatory in nature. And if I go back to one of the Supreme Court judgment in Vatica Township Private Limited, and citation is 2015 in bracket 1 SCC in bracket 1. As per this judgment, it is being clarified and held. Any amendment in the law which is clarificatory in nature will be applicable with retrospective date. Hence, in my humble submission, this transaction which we are referring to is not chargeable to GST. It was not chargeable even prior to. State was not empowered in terms of Article 286 to the Constitution of India to levy tax. And even after GST implementation, it is not chargeable from July 1, 2017. So what is the way forward for this applicant who has gone for the advanced ruling? Yes, I do agree it is applicable only to the applicant, but carry the persuasive value for all other taxpayer in India. Now, applicant can go and file a writ in Gujarat High Court on question of law. And we have discussed those question of law which is in our favor. And I'm sure it is going to be win-win case for the applicant in the case I'm referring to. And for the persuasive value for all other taxpayer, yes, मैंने आपसे कहा कि अगर कोई transaction सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स जो इंडिया के बाहर हुआ है, फ्रॉम कोरिया टू यूएस, आप उस पर जीएसटी नहीं लगा सकते, क्योंकि आपका पावर ऑफ आईजीएसटी एक्ट इज ओनली फॉर द ट्रांजेक्शन विच इज हैपनिंग विद इन इंडिया. दैट्स व्हाट आई रेफर टू. एक और चीज मैं आपके साथ करना चाहूंगा जो जजमेंट का पार्ट नहीं है बट इंपॉर्टेंट है और आपको भी अच्छा लगेगा. अब आपकी रेवेन्यू साइड पे हमने, एज पर माई हम्बल सबमिशन, आई सेड इट इज नॉट चार्जेबल टू आईजीएसटी $120. तो आपने जीएसटी नहीं दिया. अब क्वेश्चन है, अवेलिंग द क्रेडिट, जीएसटी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. फॉर अवेलिंग जीएसटी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट, द सिल्वर लाइनिंग, you can avail credit when on input services and capital goods which is being used for taxable supplies. 100% credit ले लीजिए आप. And wherever input services, capital goods used for exempted supply, उस पे आपको क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगी. और जहां कॉमन आईटीसी है वहां प्रो राटा रिवर्सल, रूल 42 and rule 43 of CGST rule. Now I'm asking you, and you can also answer by yourself. Put your answer in a comment box and I will also give my answer to all of you as well. Now this $120 revenue coming on credit side of PL account, you have not charged GST. For the region, it is Schedule 3 transaction outside India, and in my humble submission, you cannot levy tax from July 1, 2017. So you have not charged GST, being no supply as per Schedule 3. So are you required to reverse common ITC, common input tax credit, pertaining to this transaction of $120 जिस पे आपने GST चार्ज नहीं किया, पे नहीं किया, क्या आपको रिवर्सल करना पड़ेगा? आंसर H. As per explanation under section 17 subsection 3 of CGST Act, it is not the part of value of exempt supplies and you need not require to reverse common ITC. आपको reversal नहीं करना है of common ITC for all the transaction coming in Schedule 3 except para 5, entry 5, sale of land and building. यानी आपके लिए जो entry 7 जो मैं डिस्कस कर रहा हूं, entry 8 जो शेड्यूल 3 की मैं डिस्कस कर रहा हूं, इवन दो आप उस पर जीएसटी पे नहीं करेंगे बट आपको रिवर्सल ऑफ कॉमन आईटीसी भी नहीं करना है. एडवांटेज टू यू, टू द टैक्स पेयर. सो दिस जजमेंट विच इज डाइवर्जेंट एंड कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग, I given my humble submission to all of you, and I have given another perspective from GST input tax credit perspective, with a reversal required even though no IGST paid on this transaction. No reversal required. So conclusion H. अगर supply of goods कोरिया से यूएस हुआ है, IGST नहीं लगेगा, पहली बात. सेकंड, आपकी हाई सी सेल ट्रांजेक्शन है. When goods are coming and before it is entering custom frontier of India, आपने माल सेल कर दिया हाई सी सेल, तो आपकी ट्रांजेक्शन पे क्या आईजीएसटी लगेगा? नहीं लगेगा. जो अल्टीमेटली बिल ऑफ एंट्री फाइल करेगा फॉर होम कंजम्पशन, ही विल पे कस्टम ड्यूटी इंक्लूडिंग आईजीएसटी विद वैल्यू एडिशन. जो वैल्यू होगी उसकी एडिशन में जो भी मार्कअप, प्रॉफिट मार्कअप होगा, उसके ऊपर कस्टम ड्यूटी लगेगी इंक्लूडिंग आईजीएसटी. Inbound sell, no IGST, para 7 and para 8 of Schedule 3 transaction, and corresponding GST input tax credit provision also I have explained. I'm sure that divergent advance ruling coming from different state is creating conflicting and not giving clarification and certainty. And with the citation para 14.2 that advanced ruling authority can't check, it is not coming within their purview, the bias of law is the incorrect position. Then what is the need of creating advanced ruling authority? They must introspect. And second, it is a high time that we must form national level advanced ruling authority wherever we are getting conflicting state advanced ruling judgment. for the ease of business, certainty, and clarity, and of course, to make GST good and simple tax. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Thank you very much.